What's up, guys? LJ Crypto back with another video. If you like my content, please subscribe, hit the share, like, and comments button, and always know that it is my goal to help you become financially free through the crypto market. So let's get started. So in this video, I want to once again talk about coding, not necessarily about crypto. Once again, this is me documenting my coding journey. Once again, we are on Front End Mentor. This is the third project that I took on. First project that I implement JavaScript. Basically, JavaScript is the coding language that you use to bring functionality to your front end / website / UI user interface. So this is the design, right, that you have to implement, that you have to imitate. These are like the active states, right? And then this is the mobile version, and this is actually the first project where I actually made actually did the mobile design. Alright, so if we look at what I made, yeah, this looks very similar to what they had, and I feel like this is the first project that made me feel really good about my coding skills, that made me gain a lot more confidence in me coding and all of that, especially this being my first time using JavaScript by myself for the first time. Yeah, really proud how this came out. I did actually get help from the community, because for one, I didn't have the right the calculations I had before weren't necessarily correct, and the font family I had, like the fonts I had, wasn't right as well, so I fixed that. And yeah, it looks exactly how how it is on the design that front end mentor wants you to make. So let's kind of play around with this. So well, actually first I could kind of show the code. So this, once again, HTML file. HTML once again gives out the structure of the app, right? And this is the first app, and going forward, this is the first app that I add comments and actually write out like parts of what this app is, or not what this app is, but what part of the code that this app renders, or what does this code render, what part of the app does this code render. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, like bill input, right, tip button box, people input box, all of that. So this is the HTML code, right? Pretty nice. And also here we have the JavaScript code. So yeah, pretty nice. So yeah, I'll definitely be talking a lot about this. I'll say the JavaScript part I'm going to be talking about the most, because I feel like that's the most important, right? And this is the CSS. I'm not gonna really talk too much about this. This is really, it's a lot of CSS code here, like much more than my past two apps. But there are some parts I will talk about with CSS that are pretty important. Alright. So yeah, so let's just play around with the app for a bit. So say if I put in, I don't know, 1,000, right? Put in 1,000. So say if I try to go below 0, it'll pop up saying it can't be 0, and then it'll have the border of this input, will be red, but if I go above 0, that goes away. So yeah, I have to make sure that there are more than 0 people, right? And then once I hit one of these tip buttons, boom, this pops up and it gives the tip amount and the total amount. And say if I have 2 people, and if I hit this again, it's $25. And basically what happens is that that $25, usually it would have been $50, right, for one person, but that $50 is getting split between 2 people. So now the tip amount is actually $25, and then this amount is the bill amount plus the tip amount. And then when I hit this reset button, all the numbers reset, and then the like the visibility of the reset button, it dims down, right, showing that this isn't necessarily active. So yeah. Also, if I try to go below 0 with these inputs here, it'll show an alert saying cannot be below or at 0. So yeah, that's really cool. So yeah, this is the front end, and now I'm gonna try to explain the JavaScript functionality of this. So as you can see here, I split up my screen to show the app and the code. So this is my JavaScript file. That's where all of my functionality has went. So first things first, we have this here. So document dot whatever, right? Basically what this does, it targets, HTML elements by either their class name or their ID name. So say for instance, let's see, on a reset container, right? So that's the name I gave the variable. So basically let's see, so reset button container, that's the class name, right? Reset button container. Let's see where it is. Yeah. So basically, I am targeting this whole HTML element, right? By its class name. And this is done so that you can start, adding functionality to it, right? You specify what element you're targeting by its class name or ID, and through that you can add functionality to it. So I'm not gonna try to point out all of them because that would be too much. Wouldn't make any sense. But that's the basic idea of document dot either get element by ID or query selector. And there's other properties with document. So yeah. So from this to all the way down here, these are all the same concepts, right? Just different buttons. So tip 5, this is for this button here. So I targeted that button, right? It had that class name. So first we have this variable here. So bill value, that's what I named it. Bill. This is a unfortunately you can't see it, but this is a this is basically targeting the HTML element of input, the bill input, right? So I'll put dot value here, so I get like the value of the bill, which would be like the number of it. So like 1 would be this is value, and parse int. This is to help convert it into a number, just in case it's a string, like letters, right? number of people. This is the, let's see, this is this input right here, same concept. And then here's a conditional statement. So the bill value has to be greater than 0. This has to be greater than 0, and then the number of people have to be greater than 0. And if that's the case, then all of this, passes through. All of this can execute. So this is the functional. This is basically the calculation, right? For the tip. I believe is for this one, right? .to fix. This is basically to specify how many decimal points you want, right? After the how many places you want, decimal places you want after the decimal point. So of course I want 2, because when it comes to money, there's 2 decimal places, right? Same concept with this, except this is for the total amount here, right? So let's see, tip num. This is the, I believe it's this, right? So yeah, inner HTML. This is basically targeting the website itself, the front end itself. And the same thing applies here, right? So that's what that is. This here, this $. So I forget what this sign is, what this is called, but it's not necessarily a quotation mark, but like it's an alternative. But when you use these, you can use this $sign with these curly braces, and this allows you, even though these are like these aren't quotation marks, but I'm just say that, but even though these are quotation marks, usually you would add like letters here or like a sentence, but in this case you can put a $sign and curly braces within like you could put a variable or a function name inside of this. So that's what that is. Hopefully that made sense. Style.opacity. This is making sure that the reset button, well, once this becomes true, the opacity of this becomes 1. This becomes more visible. So let's do 1, boom, and then this, and yeah, the opacity of this becomes 1. Instead of what it was just before I put in all those numbers, right? And yeah, the same things for the same functionalities for these. The only difference is this here, right? So that 5 divided by 100 is basically the percent, right? That's equivalent to the percentage of the tip amount. So yeah, tip 5 will have 5 here, then tip 10, 10, and so on. So let's see. Now this here, let's see, how should I explain this? So these here, same concept as at the top, but this time we have so I have custom tipper here. This is a variable named custom tip. This is targeting let's see, this button here. So this is the custom button, right? And this custom tipper value is going to be based off of what number this is going to be. So yeah, I didn't really explain, but add event listener. This helps to, this is the main thing that you always going to use when it comes to vanilla JavaScript. This is pure JavaScript. Add event listener, that's the property you're going to use to bring functionality to buttons and HTML elements and all of that. And the one we're using here is input, because this of course is an input, and it changes based off, you know, what number this is or whatnot. But yeah, so all of this is like, you know, what was at the top. Let's see. This is for the functionality if the user tries to put in, you know, a value less than 0, and here you have alert, and yeah, so if I do that, yeah, that is the alert, and as you can see, this is the, you know, the wording, the sentence of the alert, right? And then after I hit that, right, the basically the values of these go back to 0, and I have opacity 0.3 here, you know, to have the reset button back to this, you know, and I basically added the same functionality to, you know, with this conditional statement, this if statement, and this if statement similar to what was at the top with the, you know, the tip buttons, right? So the bill value is 0 and the customer, if the values are greater than 0 and the number of people is greater than 0, then basically these numbers start changing, right, based off these inputs, and the button becomes active again, right? Let's see. So people container, this is targeting this here. So yeah, let me explain what this is for. So yeah, once again, input, this is the event listener that I use for this, right? Because you can change the numbers, of course, right? So yeah, if people is less than 0, if, you know, this number is either less than 0 or equals to 0, right? We make sure that the value, right, this is always 0, and this is to ensure that the user cannot have this number, because usually when it comes to input buttons, right, input HTML elements, you are able to take this down below 0, but with this code here, I made it sure that this is always at 0, or that it can never go below 0. 0 alert style.color. So this is, I want to say this is this right here, right? So this is a HTML element I added here. Initially the visibility of this is, you know, hidden, or the opacity, I don't think I use opacity, but basically this isn't seen, right? You can't see this initially, but if, you know, the user tries to put it in below 0, this will pop up, right? So color becomes red, and also the border, right? So this input box, the border of this becomes solid and it becomes red, you know, if this value is 0. Alright, and if this not the case, then there is no border. And okay, so that's what I did. I messed around with the color, so the color becomes transparent, or, you know, basic, whatnot. So yeah, I put in a value greater than 1, and that disappears. And lastly, this is for the reset button, right? So this variable is targeting the, you know, reset HTML button. And the event listener I use here is click, and all this really does is just resets everything to 0, and it makes the visibility of this dim, like it doesn't make it 1 or normal, however you want to say that. And yeah, and the last thing I want to show, so this is where I kind of get into the CSS part. there's only one thing, only one part I really want to show. Of course I added hover states, right? And I'll demonstrate that in the past 2 videos, so I'm not going to get into. If we do inspect, right? If the screen is big enough, it'll show this, but if you shrink it enough, it will show the mobile side of this. And if you actually mess around with this app right on your phone, this is what you'll see. So how I did that, right? Let's see. Let's do. So yeah, basically this is the code that allows me to be able to make the mobile version of this. So this CSS property here, right? This is basically a media query, and you can write CSS code under the conditions of like basically the width of the the window that you're using, the tab, right? Basically how wide your window is. And in this case, if the window is let's see, basically at 768 pixels or below that, it will show this. But if I go above 768, it will show this, and you can see the pixels here, and of course only the width is changing. So that's how I add the mobile version. I'm not gonna get too deep into CSS code because that would be way too much. As you can see, there's a lot of CSS here going on here. But yeah, that's about it for this project. Hopefully that wasn't too complicated, but JavaScript code, I would say, is the most important when it came to this. Well, definitely CSS, but in terms of what I wanted to explain, definitely want to explain the JavaScript part, which I would say is the coolest part of making this project. That is the end of the video. Hope you like this. This to me was a very big milestone for me in terms of learning how to code. Was really happy, how this came out. But yeah, once again, if you like my content, please subscribe, hit the share, like, and comments button. Turn on the notification bell whenever I come out with a new video. Check out the description below, and I will see you in the next one.